Have you had experience with people coming to Hippocrates with bad results from going on the primal diet?
He's talking about the primal diet. And the primal diet, of course, is one where somebody says, eat anything that instinctually you should eat. Well, at one point I would have been eating a whole lot of bad stuff, because my instinct was here, not really here. And so they would say things to you like, well, you can eat raw meat. Well, there's a character who lives out in Malibu where we're starting programs, by the way. We're starting California programs in February and April and June of this year. And eventually we'll have a second institute out there soon. But he's putting people on meat, and lots of these poor people show up at Hippocrates. And boy, are they sick. Because if you ever take a piece of uncooked, rotting, decomposing flesh and look at it under a microscope, you wouldn't think about eating it. As a matter of fact, you'd probably move out of the house that you saw it in. And people say, well, I eat raw meat and raw fish. There's no such thing as raw meat and fish. Just because something has been killed and it's decomposing doesn't mean it's alive. What differentiates live food, raw food, living food from other food, it has bioactivity. When I measure it, as my colleague Dr. Hunt has done so successfully, you see a biofrequency that comes out of it. You see an electromagnetic frequency. You don't see that at all. As a matter of fact, at 1977, my colleague Dr. Rick Ricketts and I did some photographic work out of UCLA on meats. Some of the things are published on sprouts we did in my book, Optimum Health. How many of you have that book of mine? In Optimum Health, I show the sunflower sprout. And sunflower sprout, wheatgrass as an example, and pea greens or buckwheat literally have 2 feet, this much, in each direction of electromagnetic frequency coming out of it. When we took uncooked meat, it was having no energy protrude from it and drew in a brown about 1/8 of an inch into it. When it was cooked, it actually drew in about 1/4 of an inch dark colorization. So there was nothing permeating from it. It was taking in, and it's very much what it happens when you take it into the body. It robs the body of about 1,000 times more energy than it gives you if you eat fish, chicken, or red meat, pork, all of that business. And dairy food, depending upon the density, the age of it, worse, older, and more dense, is from 750 to 850 times more energy taken from you than giving you. So just because people run around and have some glorious idea that we're cave people and should eat the way that we perceive cave people should eat, the facts are that 60% of the world's population today are plant-eating creatures. I in no way, as a scientist, believe in the world that we were all eating meat and now 60% of the population went back to plant-based eating. I also run an institute that's renowned internationally for people recovering from diseases in it. We've had 250,000 people. We put them on plant-based diet. We do scientific clinical research on human beings like no institute in the planet Earth, including medical institutions, and basically watch people get well. And all of us who eat this way do not age like the rest of the population. Then you have pop culture groups of people who are in the raw food community that tell you to do wild addictive things like eat large amounts of sugar, large amounts of fat, and those people are not going to be healthy either. They're just going to prolong their agony by being addicts. You've got to eat a diet based upon substance, life force, energy, enzymatics, nutrients, phytochemicals. Why are the greatest research scientists today in nutrition telling us the foods that have the most healing mechanisms in phytochemistry are sprouted seeds, nuts, grains, and beans? These are the basis of the Hippocrates diet. Every day, Anna Marie and I and our staff and our guests, we're drinking 1 liter or 1.5 liters of juice that's half sprouts. Do you know what that does for you? When a sprout is 20, 30 times more nutritious than an organic vegetable that's good, you feel like unbelievable. You feel unbelievable with this stuff. So there's a lot of ideologies, some of which I see they're not researched, they're ideologies, they're not scientifically valid, and I've seen that not help people. Now, if you were to say to me, if people are on the Canadian bacon diet and they got onto a better diet, is it better? Yes. And I'm not here to condemn things. Do I believe the blood type diet works? No. But is a blood type diet better than a Canadian diet? Yes. I didn't start this with raw food. I was a macrobiotic. I was a macrobiotic diet extremely good compared to the American diet I was on? You bet it was. But then, you know, you can't stop because you get temporary benefits. What you've got to do is keep going. And look at every single creature on this earth. Listen closely. Every single creature on the earth, except domestic animals and the ones we control, eat a 100% raw diet. Humans and those poor domestic animals are the only ones that eat cooked food. And how is it that for 53 years we put people on raw diets and watch them come back to life? And not because we anecdotally see that, but we scientifically validate that. We see cancer tumors go away. We see people get rid of diabetes within weeks. We see cardiovascular disease go away within weeks. We see people's mentality change. We see the way they look. We see weight coming off their body. People say, why don't you sell weight loss? Because the side effect of living well is weight loss. I was obese when I started this. I was on my way to death by the time I was 30. If I kept eating the way I did, I would have had a cardiovascular disease, I would have had diabetes, and I probably would have died in my 30s from cancer. And I'm not joking about that. That's how much crap I ate. And exercise was not part of my vocabulary. I wouldn't have exercised if you paid me to do it. And so you've got to know. I came from all of that. I understand that. And you've got to wake up to reality. Okay, one last question. Yes?
Chinese medicine, what's your opinion?
I think Chinese medicine is spectacular. I think that if you look at the herbal end of it, that's where they've made their headway. But you also have to decipher. Remember, they, like I, believe that everything comes down to electromagnetic frequency. So along the way, they use the term qi. They started to do some corny things. Like they'd look at a rhinoceros and say, oh, the rhinoceros has more qi than me. So let's take the horn of the rhinoceros, grind it up. And so some of the medicine they have herbally is like rhinoceros horns, shark fins, monkey testicles. Those you don't want. You want the botanical parts of it. And so that's where they're brilliant. And why they're brilliant is that the Asians are very, very particular and analytical. And they write things down and they follow it, and if they don't work, they're brave enough and conscious enough to get rid of it. So 2,000 to 3,000 years we have that data. Where they are not current, not to say they're wrong, that doesn't have to be wrong and right, they are far from current on the way they think about diet. Remember, we didn't know back when they started Chinese medicine or Asian medicine anything about anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, immunity. We didn't know a thing. So everything was based wisely, because they didn't know anything about Inyu, externally. Girl, boy. Summer, winter. Yin, yang. Brilliant. Didn't know about immunity, physiology, biochemistry. So from that, they developed a system. But a lot of this leftover stuff, like if your spleen is wet, you can't eat. A little wacky. It doesn't cut it 2,000 years later. So what we need to do is we do at Hippocrates. Every morning we do Chinese medicine, Qigong, all of these things. We take the best part of all the things and not preclude anything, including modern medicine, by the way. You take all of the things and you put it together and you use the best parts of that. So why not honor those things? And they are helping people. I've seen so many people get well. Again, as you heard, my friend, before, we found brilliant Chinese doctors right here that are healing things that I didn't know could be healed until a year and a half ago. Didn't know they could be healed. As a matter of fact, I used to send people for surgery for those things a year and a half ago. And now people are coming up here and literally getting well like this with it. And so God bless. Number one, I want to thank you and everyone else who came tonight. We'll say a prayer before we go, but let's go and help these people that came in with their things. And I'm going to have a coconut, I know that. Matter of fact, this morning at 5:30, I was out in the front of my house with 5 coconuts, opened them up, and that was our juice this morning before we came. We're lucky these grow in our neighborhood. But the other thing I want to do is support this, support yourself, change your life. Now let's say a prayer together so we help, and then we'll sign books after that, Hannah and I. Close your eyes. This is where we convert you to the Blashnachka religion. Blashnachka-cated. Take a deep breath. Give these people the strength to find the truth in their life and be unwavering about it. Do not let them compromise anymore. To become whole and complete, elated, happy, and most important, representative of what humans are capable of. God bless, be well, take care, and happy holidays.